We are live from Riverside Revival for Public Radio Music Day. I'm Anna Lee, and I'm so happy to be here with my guest, Andrew Leahey.
Hello.
And his guitar player, Jay. Say your last name for me, Jay.
Dumachowski.
Dumachowski. Yes, did I get it right?
You did.
Yes.
It takes a while.
Success. So happy to have you guys here. Andrew is an artist that we've been supporting at WMOT for a while, an artist that I've been a fan of for I'm not even sure how long, but I think I nailed it down recently when I got a Facebook memory of a photo of a songwriters round. I might have even shared it with you. I can't remember now. At Puckett's downtown.
I used to play that place so much. Yeah, I think it would have been late 2011, early 2012.
Yeah.
And I was explaining to one of your coworkers that you were the MC for the benefit when I had my whole brain surgery thing. And I appreciate that. I'll always appreciate that.
That was a trip. Let's remember that for a little bit. Well, first of all, if you're just tuning in or watching and you've not experienced Andrew before and heard our interviews before, because we did a whole deep dive when American Static came out.
Right.
We did a two-parter. We did like the Andrew Leahey anthology.
I love it.
It was great. But yes, Andrew had brain surgery, and I'll let you tell us a little bit about that experience and how you discovered what it was and all
Sure. Well, the operation, it'll be 11 years in like 2 weeks. Wow. Or something, but I had a brain tumor on my hearing nerve called an acoustic neuroma. Neuroma means a nerve tumor, and acoustic is the nerve that I had, my hearing nerve. So yeah, just had a classic craniotomy for like 12 hours or something. Just classic run-of-the-mill brain surgery. And my hospital bills were just insurmountable. And we had a benefit, and you hosted it, and like Jason Isbell played, and the Wild Feathers, and Nikki Lane, Derek Hoke, and Great Peacock.
Good memory. That was everybody.
It was everybody.
So it did not affect your memory because that was really good.
It didn't. It affected my hearing a little bit, and I get pretty bad headaches. But I'll remember that show. I think it was the best show of my life.
It was really impressive that you were able to be there because it wasn't that long after your surgery, and your Vanderbilt doctors were there.
Yeah, their minds were kind of blown. Yeah, I was there. I don't recall a lot of it. I was on some crazy medication to help the pain, but I think I got on stage to announce somebody. I hope I did it right. I hope I didn't just tell jokes and make a fool out of myself.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, that led to some songs that you wrote for the album right after that. Was that Airwaves or was there one before that?
No, the album right after that was Skyline and Central Time.
Right, and so that experience led to some of the songs that were on that album.
It did. I think it led to a lot of the songs. I think on the Skyline album, not to like disparage one of our albums, but I feel like I was a little too close to the canvas. I didn't quite know what that experience meant. I'm still working out what it all means, but I feel like on a couple albums later, especially the ones that Jay was on, we kind of got to it a little bit more.
Yeah, but you still finding yourself and recovering from something like that, and you were just responding to your experience, which to me is the beauty of songwriting.
Yeah.
You told some stories on that album that were relatable to people that hadn't gone through brain surgery. So
it's a small club, but
but you're a great songwriter, and you're really good at telling stories and drawing people in with your stories and making them super accessible with your melodies. So
thank you. And I have metal plates in my head, or screws in my head.
So
and they're titanium, actually. I don't know if that qualifies as metal, because I can go through an airport.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't set off any alarms.
It might set off a heavy metal album to come. I don't know.
And we'll see. Hair metal, perhaps. You and I need to talk about
stranger
that.
things have happened. So, but the big news today is that there is a brand new album that's coming. So after Skyline and Central Time, we had Airwaves.
Yes.
And then we had 2 American Static albums, which I still listen to a lot and love.
Thank you.
All of your
music.
Volumes 1 and 2. Yeah, volumes 1 and 2. And so now. Tell us what's to come. We're so excited. This is the announcement of a new project.
Yeah, this is a scoop, guys, in Radioland for Public Radio Music Day. We have a new album. It's called Kick, Move, Shake. I had to practice that in the car because I forget even what we called it. I confuse the order of those words. I guess it's our pop album. I mean, I feel like we've always been kind of a pop rock band, and this would be more on the pop side. And we often get compared to Tom Petty, so if you're going to keep that comparison going, I guess this would be our Full Moon Fever, which is a pop album, if you listen to it.
Jeff Lynne's influence.
Totally.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so we have a lot of synths, and we worked on it with a guy named Gregory Latimer, who did a lot of the recent Aaron Lee Tasjan albums.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
they're skewing sort of pop also. So,
totally. Yeah. He's the one who helped Aaron get weird. I mean, Aaron, I love Aaron. Aaron needs no help getting weird.
That's true.
He's the one who went with Aaron down the weird trail, and he helped us get weird too. So a lot of keyboards, just You know, like to me, it's kind of a Cars album or an NXS album, but you know, it's us still. So you guys should totally play it when it comes out, which will be in 2025 at some point. We don't know when, but it's coming out next year.
Yeah. Well, you know I will on the local brew. That's one thing about that show that I love is getting to stretch the boundaries a little bit of Americana music, American roots music. And there's just a lot of stuff influenced by the forefathers of that music. And you know, I'll do whatever sounds good to me and fits in the mix is going to end up on the local brew.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that years ago, I would have been worried at least about making an album that wasn't as kind of cleanly or clearly designed for one radio format. And like in the past, I always made albums, and I knew, you know, like who I was going to have work the publicity and who I was going to have work the radio promotion. And I didn't have any of those plans this time. We just wanted to make a record.
You were just feeling the music.
And it feels great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what inspired the sort of, I mean, is it just like the way you grew up or the 80s sort of influence in these songs?
I think it's both of those things. I did grow up in the 80s listening to that, and I've always enjoyed that kind of music. And we always like hinted at it a bit. Like there was a song called Become the Enemy on one of the American Static albums. I think perhaps Volume 1. I confused the order.
A lot
the
of
songs on that album, on those albums as well. But yeah, just kind of always an era that we drew from. And then when COVID was happening, like Jay and I played a weekly live stream for like a year and a half.
I remember that.
And we wanted to make a new show every time. And a year and a half of weekly live streams is a lot of live streams. So I think we learned over 400 cover songs. I
was going to say there had to be some covers in there.
We have a Spotify playlist, and we just couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
So a whole lot of that was 80s music. I love the production. I love how you put headphones on and it just kind of encompasses your whole head. Everything is locked in.
New sounds are popping out everywhere.
And I love the rhythmic aspect of it. I mean, and we are not in our 20s anymore.
You're not?
No, unfortunately. I don't want to, speak for you, but I feel active. I just feel good about myself, and just I want music that moves.
Yeah.
And Kick Move Shake, the title of the record, is a paraphrased thing that my yoga teacher will say, not to get all hippie on you, but I just liked that it there's a connotation of a movement and momentum, and that's what our new album is. I think there's one ballad, everything else is real upbeat.
It's gonna make you kick, move, and shake.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I like that. You mentioned Tom Petty. We who doesn't love Tom Petty? Seriously.
I don't want to meet them.
I don't want to know you exactly is what I was going to say. But I believe when we did the interviews for American Static, you told me that that's where you met Elizabeth Cook initially, was at one of the Tom Petty benefits that I think you put together. It was like days after he passed.
It was the week that he passed.
Everybody freaked out and jumped into tribute mode. We ended up at Basement East. And tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, it was Grimey's idea. Mike Grimes, who owns Grimey's, the music store, and the Basement East. I think it was the Wednesday of that week. I think he died on a Monday.
It was Monday, yeah.
Yeah, and Grimey just wanted. Well, it was me, John Latham, Sadler Vaden, a couple other people. He kind of put us into a house band, and he booked a bunch of guests, and we just played Tom Petty covers. It was free. I think maybe you could donate. I forget where the money went to. I'm sure it was a very worthy, charitable cause. And I'd met Elizabeth at a grocery store, at the food co-op beforehand, but we never played music together. And that night we were just kind of randomly paired together, and we did Room at the Top. And I remember walking into the green room prior to that, and Elizabeth and my wife were talking, and I was like, okay, good. They're friends already. That's half of the work right there. And then we just had a connection on stage, and I texted her afterwards, and I said, I'd love to play with you. And she said, sure.
And
it was literally all it took.
You've been with her ever since, and that was in 2017.
Yeah, and within a couple of weeks of that, we were in Atlanta opening up for Driving and Crying.
Wow.
We've done a lot since that last year. We were on the road with Willie Nelson.
I was going to ask you about that. Did you go on the bus?
No, I didn't go on the bus, but I did do what you're hinting at.
But yes, there's a connotation there when you talk about Willie's bus.
Elder statesman, and they want to, keep him healthy. So they're like, you're not going to get on the bus with Willie. You're not going to get to smoke with Willie. Unfortunately.
But you got to meet him.
We got to get on stage with him and do a couple songs at the end of every night, which was amazing and terrifying at the same time.
I can imagine. That is super cool.
And he would just call out songs. I didn't always know what they were, and then you're on stage in front of 18,000 people trying to act like you
Following
know this
along,
Willie
yeah.
Nelson, like a deep cut. But it was an amazing experience.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah,
That is
and
so cool.
I love playing with Elizabeth for a number of reasons, but the access to just like icons like that is amazing. It's one of the best reasons.
And you guys have done a bunch of the cruises, the Outlaw Country cruises.
Every year.
Yeah, you do another cruise too. Are you on the rock cruise or something?
Yeah, Jay and I in our band in Andrew Lay in the Homestead, we've done the rock boat twice.
Okay.
I would love to do it again. I think maybe when they hear this album, maybe they'll put us back on.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
But like 2 cruises in 1 month is a lot of cruise.
That's a lot of cruise.
I need
in
to
one year.
I need to train for that.
Yeah.
So I guess we have a year or so to work toward that.
So you're right now, you're still playing with Elizabeth,
Yep.
and you're still
Yeah.
her band leader, right?
I'm her band leader, her guitarist, her TM, like tour manager, all that.
All that.
I drive the van. I don't drink, so at the end of the night, I can drive the van back to the hotel. Everybody else can have a good time.
Yeah, super fun.
And that's what I told her when I gave her a text, like back, the week that Tom Petty passed away. I said, I would love to play with you. I don't drink. I'll drive the van. And she said, you're hired.
You're in. Yeah. Good criteria
If
there.
anyone out there is looking for a gig, that's just, sobriety and drive the van.
You're a shoo-in.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's another artist that I know you're a big fan of that. Oh, first I want to mention, you mentioned your wife, Emily, chatting with Elizabeth, and I actually met Emily really before I got to know you, because it was that night at the Writers' Round at Puckett's, and
I remember that.
we were just sitting together, and I didn't know her, and you guys hadn't even been in Nashville that long, I don't think. at
Probably
that
under a
point.
year. Yeah, you were, I was playing with Alan Thompson, I think, of
And
Lady
Don
Couch.
Gallardo, yeah,
And Don Gallardo.
and I was just a part-time DJ at another radio station in town then. But we had a local feature, and I had heard of you. I'd played a song of yours, and I was like, "Oh, cool! That guy." I think it was a song called Virginia,
Yeah.
which is your home
It was our
state.
power ballad, like an 8-minute power ballad. I appreciate
really,
you playing that one.
Really good, though.
Thank you.
And I loved those early songs back. You had a little EP, Summer Sleeves, I think it was, or something.
Yeah,
like that.
and there was an album before that I've kind of, wiped off the earth, but it's
Summer
on
Sleeves
eBay
was
if you want
really
it. You can
good.
also just ask me; I'll give it to you for free.
Oh, cool! Thank
Got like
you.
1 million copies still.
Well, yeah, but don't forget about those songs, because some of those songs were really, they had substance. They were great songs, and I know a lot of artists want to say, that was back then, but you were onto something even then. So
I think we were just working out. Yeah, I was working out kind of what I wanted to do, and I think it's a moving target.
yeah,
Yeah,
but that's evolution, right?
sure.
And here we are,
And here we are.
into 80s sounds. Evolving, or would that be?
It's an evolution. I mean, we're going to play it on acoustic guitars here in a minute, so it's going to be.
Yeah.
We'll see how the translation goes.
Which is cool, because I always enjoy hearing songs the way they were written.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you probably write most of your songs on acoustic guitar. Maybe you sit down at piano from time to time.
Do a lot of this album was keyboard driven. I tend to, if I can write a song in my head before I kind of limit it to an instrument, I think that's when the song is best. I think regardless of what you try to do, your hands on whatever instrument just have like patterns they go to. I'm always gonna grab a guitar and just like do some kind of like noodling, kind of thing. If I can have a song evolve in my head before I kind of ground it in an instrument, I think that's the best move.
Okay. So that's how most of them form for you.
Try to, but then you just have to like explain this idea in your head to a producer or a bandmate and hope you don't sound crazy.
That's okay. Crazy's
probably-
okay in rock and roll.
Well, that's a moving target too.
Well, what do you want to start with today?
I think we're going to do a song called Phosphorescent. And all these songs, I mean, we played them for a private party during Americana Fest.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But that's it. So this is like, I think it's another scoop for Public Radio Music Day.
Good job.
I have to.
I'm sorry. One more thing that's a good tidbit here is that a lot of these songs on this record we wrote at destinations. So we would take weekends and we would just go to a house
Interesting.
somewhere,
Okay.
or we would have little trips where we would go different places. And
So is this when you were not on the road, or was that
This was just
when you were hanging out?
over
kinda?
time, kind of,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Well, and like Jay is a dad now, like times 2. He just had another son about 2 weeks ago. Like, he and his wife Jenna.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I think we were trying to limit our time on the road as a
Okay.
result of that. But we had kind of like a creative core of the band at that time, like Jay, myself, and our friend named Dan, who's out in Massachusetts. Hello, Dan. And so we would go as a trio, and like there was a haunted mansion in Athens.
Very cool.
And there was like a ski chalet in Blue Ridge, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
And then just like my house in Germantown.
Yeah, and he, one more thing. He's also, you're the DD at a lot of tours, but also very compassionate because he just mentioned, you know, he slowed down. I'm going to tear up when I had kids.
Yeah,
Oh, buddy.
because you're important to him. Yeah,
Yeah, it means a lot.
Well, when you get a connection, like you two have played together, like we just mentioned, since I think Airwaves, right? Since 2018. So you two have played together for a while, and you form that bond. You know what, or can kind of sense what the other one's going to do, and that makes for not just a great show for the people watching, but I'm sure for the experience for you two as well.
Yeah, synergy is a real thing.
Yeah.
When I think there was a long era of my life where I just kind of, got caught up in the rat race of everything in town, which is easy to do, but I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't allow myself to breathe a sigh of relief unless I had a packed schedule, playing 180 gigs a year. And those are kind of incompatible. There is no relief if you're playing that often.
Right.
And so we've slowed down a lot, but I think we've made better music.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's all just, again, back to evolution. You're growing, you're aging, even though it doesn't look like it.
I appreciate that.
But this is all part of life. You're just gathering these experiences together, on the road together, in the studio together. And it's really cool that it has resulted in a way for you guys to figure out time and inspiration, going to different locations. I love that.
Man.
Any other cool locations? Besides a haunted mansion in the Blue Ridge Mountains, those are two.
That was fun.
Some stuff.
I think maybe just those, or just in my head at 3 a.m. and I hum it into my iPhone and I wake Emily up. That's not as exotic a location. I think maybe just those for this album.
You spent some time in Australia because Emily is now a veterinarian.
She is.
She's so impressive and
She
just
is.
such a great person. But you got to go over there when she was on some sort of I don't know if it was a residency or what she was doing, but she was treating animals in Australia.
Yeah, she leads a study abroad program out there every summer. So I've been there twice, and I went to New Zealand. And this year we went to Thailand.
Wow. And that was
Amazing.
all through Emily's work?
A Thailand thing was just kind of
Fun,
hey,
yeah.
you're halfway across the world. I can come join you in Australia again, or we can just, take advantage of the fact that at least one of our flights is paid for by a company. And
Yeah.
let's go somewhere else that we, would have not necessarily gone to before.
How cool.
It was great. I did get the food poisoning, but it was worth it.
It was? Wow.
Just flying too close to the sun, eating amazing food, you're gonna, get burned once in a while, but it was worth it.
That's cool to know. I mean, I imagine all of those experiences play into what you do as a writer and a storyteller because
Absolutely.
that's just the way to gain experience. I mean, you're going all over the world. That's super cool. And and all over the ocean too, with cruises and wherever you end up with Elizabeth too. Well, let's hear a song. And then there's another artist that I want to mention that I know was a big inspiration for you that plays into your story with Emily. I know I'm talking about Roger Clyne.
Oh, Roger.
so
I wasn't sure what you were going to say, but
You're
yeah,
like,
Roger.
where's this going? But yeah, we'll talk about Roger. But first, let's hear Phosphorescent. This is Andrew Leahey and Jay live on WMOT for Public Radio Music Day from Riverside Revival.
Jay, am I going to count it off again?
I'll do it for you, man.
Let's both do it.
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
Phosphorescent, I'm not going to get in. I can see the sunshine up ahead of me, forcing the feeling, rushing the season that always seemed to me like falling back. Instead, I take the longest way to travel that short line between the love of the game and the loss of my mind. Feel phosphorescent, I'm not going to get in. I can see the sun that's burning to my retinas. I close my eyes and still see horizons. It's a long way up, but when I start the climb, I take the longest way to travel that short line between the love of the game and the loss of my mind. 'Cause getting there late is still using your time. crisp and broad, you beautiful life as you're leaving it. In the end, this will bend and fade, and everything goes circle shape. All the time that you got to take was the beautiful kind from the start to the break. I take the longest way to travel that short line between the love of the game and the loss of my mind. Don't say it's too late, I'm taking my time, and the longest way to finally arrive. Feel phosphorescent, I'm not going to get it, I still feel phosphorescent, I'm not going to get it, I still.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
I
Premiere.
love that. Yeah.
Premiere.
That's so cool. Yeah, it's just fascinating to me to hear a song like that. It sounds so great on acoustics. I love the stuff you guys worked out. I know I don't play guitar, but I live with a guitar player, so I know that playing leads on acoustic is not the same as playing them on your electric.
That's true. It's tough, and you have to just kind of adjust and kind of recalibrate. Like in the other room, he suggested that rather than play an arpeggiated part, I just kind of play it harder, and that translates better on acoustic guitar.
I love that.
It's all about those moving targets, man.
Yeah, well, it's just cool to have a collaborator like that too.
Absolutely.
You know?
And the way that Jay plays guitar has kind of, not changed how I play guitar, but just it's, one of the reasons that it's worthwhile, other than he's an amazing guy, to kind of shift my schedule around what his schedule is just, I think we've got a really good guitar rapport.
That's super important.
I do agree. I mean, I grew up playing electric guitar first, but then my dad, who's actually in the studio with us right now, started getting me into Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and all the acoustic artists, and I just fell in love with the acoustic guitar, and that's all I played for about 15 years. I had an electric, but kind of sat in the back of the closet. Right?
Interesting.
And then I didn't start playing electric again until
Andrew?
I met him.
Wow.
And he gave me the confidence to get up on stage and play electric up front with him on stage when I was mostly playing acoustic, playing studio stuff, living in LA, and
that's so cool. And that's usually the opposite of what I hear is most people pick up an acoustic
right.
and kind of just,
That's kind of how I did it. Yeah.
mess around. And then all of a sudden you discover that power in an amp and an electric guitar and it's unleashed. But very cool that you started the opposite way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you play live, do you trade leads? Do you both play? Because I know you like being a lead guitarist.
I do.
You do get that fix when you're with Elizabeth.
I do. And that's actually, I still consider that to be a new thing. I didn't come to town knowing how to do any of that. I bluffed my way into a Tom Petty tribute band in town, maybe 2015.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know
And they hired me
that.
just because I had long hair and I play a Les Paul into a Vox, which, is one of the combinations Mike Campbell would use. Yeah. But once they were like, yeah, sure, you can be our guitarist, our usual guy can't make it. I thought, okay, now I need to actually work out how to do this thing.
So that recently is 2015.
Yeah, that
Wow.
recently.
That's surprising.
Yeah, and then it was really hard to keep a constant kind of lineup in my band because back then I was just on the road all the time and not paying people great money, and we're splitting one hotel room in that era. I'm so sorry to anyone who was in the Homestead at that time, but I was just burning people out. There was constant turnover in the band. So
well, that's hard though.
That's true. But I thought if there's going to be any consistency, it can't be just my voice and my writing. It's got to be also an instrument. So I learned how to play, some of the leads on my early albums that I didn't play, my earliest album that I didn't play, and that just. Yeah, and then I became a lead guitarist. But you were asking about our combination. I mean, Jay is kind of like a lead rhythm player. He's so tight with how he plays, and it really, it behooves like the direction now, where it's kind of more 80s inspired. We have these guitar parts that we call Quincy's, kind of like a nod to Quincy Jones. It's actually a misnomer because I don't know if it'd be more kind of like a Steve Lukather part, but we're talking
or
about
Elliot Easton part.
just kind of like a palm muted, like that kind of stuff. And he's amazing at that.
And that gives me a little Cars vibe. Yeah.
When I'm singing, I can't, like be as tight as I would like to. So that's, he does that, and I just play a big washy chord over it, and it works well.
It's like Nile Rodgers stuff.
That's a much better way.
Yeah, and
we should call them the Niles.
Right.
Okay.
For me personally, some of my and it worked out perfectly. He's a great lead guitar player, and some of my favorite guitar players are guys like Steve Cropper and Carl Wilson, who are rhythm first, and people usually relegate rhythm to, well, let me just strum through, But there's so much that goes on in support that even if people don't recognize me as the one playing the solo, I like knowing that I'm part of what makes his solo pop. And it feels good to be up there and do that.
Very cool.
Yeah, and people who know. And people who play with us, we do these, kind of like all-star charity shows every year, and all those people know. Jay is like the unsung hero of the Homestead's live sound.
Awesome. Well, speaking of those, we're going to get to Roger Clyne in a minute, but speaking of...
Yeah, you can wait, Roger.
Yeah. Now that you guys are buddies, you can say that, but...
I love Roger. He made us like backline all the gear on the tour that we did with him earlier this summer. He can wait. Just carried amps all around the East Coast and let him play them. You got to wait your turn, Raj.
That's hilarious. But speaking of the All-Star benefit shows, there's one coming up in January that you have been a part of for the last few years. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, and again, this all comes from the mind of Mike Grimes. So it's a tribute to the Traveling Wilburys. It comes out of a Bob Dylan thing they used to do called Dylan for the Dogs.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of expanded it but kept the animal charity focus.
Awesome.
So yeah, every year in January, coming up it'll be January 24th, 2025, and we haven't announced that. It's also, I'm positive it's not on the website.
Okay.
So that's another
but
scoop.
It's coming. Yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah.
And we'll just get a bunch of guests to come up to do either Wilbury songs or songs by the individual Wilburys. So like not Rolling Stones, like a Roy Orbison song, or Beatles song if it was a Harrison-led song, or a Tom Petty song, etc. It's an amazing night. We've had amazing guests like Raul Malo of the Mavericks, or Butch Walker, Nicole Atkins, Josh Rouse, just a million people.
Man,
and we
Nicole,
learned like 3 hours
singer.
of music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, I think we all love. I would love to be in like a million different groups and bands, and play for a million different people, and get to be the guy who's like in charge and lead singer for a while too. And on a night like that, I get to have my cake and eat it too.
Yeah. And that is the super group of all super groups, right?
The Wilburys?
Yeah. I mean,
Totally.
come on.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan and
bass,
Tom
though.
Petty, George Harrison.
I still can't
Roy
believe that
Orbison,
it's real.
Jeff Lynne. I mean, yeah.
Even today, I still can't believe that actually.
And
that
Petty was in
actually
his
happened.
30s when he did that. That should make everybody just feel horrible about themselves and what they've accomplished, because it's crazy. He was in a band with the Beatle, and Roy Orbison, and he was in his 30s.
Yeah, and Dylan and Petty had to agree to do that. I mean, they're kind of private guys, I mean, they don't really extend themselves that much. It's just once in a lifetime kind of thing.
Yeah, and of course you could make that jam go on for weekend after weekend with just Bob Dylan songs.
That's
but
right.
then you throw
Sure.
in Tom Petty songs, Beatles songs.
That's
What?
the tough
I know,
thing,
I
mean, but the good thing about it is we have an endless well of songs to.
Yeah.
So for Traveling Wilburys 22, we'll still be playing new stuff.
So does anybody do ELO songs?
Oh, yeah. We
Jeff
do
Lynne
ELO
songs?
songs.
Oh, good.
They're tough.
We have a woman
I
who
bet.
plays violin who has played with ELO
What?
on tour.
Wow.
We have an extra guitarist who plays with us. We'll get, like John Latham on harmonies.
Yeah.
Like Dean Moore on harmonies. I mean, we can do everything. It's amazing to play with a band that is that large, because you can do all this music that has a lot of complex layers. And because it's a charity show, everybody really puts the time in. It's a highlight every year. It's amazing.
And
Super fun.
Yeah, over the summer, I'm a huge ELO guy, and I'll send him. And you have to kind of tailor these things down because there's certain ELO records that people might not know, and in the middle of
Probably
July,
a lot of them, yeah.
I'll say, hey, let's play something off Secret Messages, and he's like, I don't know, man.
Jay and I have so many arguments and just like spirited exchanges about what we need to play and what the audience wants. And yeah, I think you can put a couple songs, like for you, some inside, deep cuts. But then you occasionally just need to give, like a Butch Walker Plain Free Falling. The crowd will love that.
Of course we will.
I'd love to play something off the Mojo album, but I don't know, who else is going to enjoy that as much as I would.
I would.
Well, maybe we'll
should
do
have
it this
known
year.
better. That's a really good one. Yeah.
And Good Enough, that's an amazing song
Yeah,
too.
that's a great album. That was one of Tom Petty's, more recent albums, even though it came out in 2015 or 16.
I think 2013, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. It's but again, still one of his more recent albums.
Yeah, amazing showing by Mike Campbell too on that record.
Yeah. That Should Have Known Better song is. I think Chris Stapleton does that on the country tribute.
He does.
Petty country tribute. Yeah.
And there's another Petty tribute that just came out, like the Bad Monkey soundtrack. It's a Vince Vaughn TV show. Everybody covering Tom Petty.
Yeah.
I understand it. I want to cover Tom Petty too. I just wish that now everybody's up to it. I'm like, maybe we need to not cover Tom Petty all the time. But whatever, we're going to do it on January 24th.
Always need to cover Tom Petty. You can't go wrong.
We're not going to change that.
Good. I'm looking forward to that. So when you came to town, you mentioned that you weren't playing electric guitar. Did you come here to be a songwriter? You were also a music journalist at that time.
Yeah. Before that, I was working at this place in Ann Arbor, Michigan called allmusic.com as a music journalist. And but I wanted to play. Especially back then, music reviews were more of a thing. It's kind of a part of the past now of music journalism. But I felt bad just saying whether or not an album, was good.
In your opinion, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Who was I? I wasn't on the road. I wasn't sleeping on floors. I wasn't hemorrhaging money on a record. I was getting a retirement account and health benefits
right.
and poo-pooing somebody's hard work. So I wanted to go to a music town. Especially, I wanted to go to a place that was going to kick my butt until I could kick back. So to me, that was Austin, LA, New York, or Nashville. And it just, honestly, I was watching the Food Network. And it was a Bobby Flay show where he's like, oh, you make good pizza? I make good pizza, contest, pizza off. They had a biscuit competition at the Loveless Cafe.
Oh, and that's what did it?
It's what put the seed. I saw that. I remember thinking, oh, that's what Nashville looks like. That looks wonderful and bucolic, and I want to eat those biscuits. And
yeah, beat Bobby Flay. Did they beat Bobby Flay? I saw that one. I don't remember, though.
No, hilarious. Bobby Flay won, but it's because he made some kind of blue corn Gouda cheese biscuit. And, Loveless has these biscuits that they give you unlimited quantities of. Whenever you come in, you can't do that if it's a blue corn Gouda cheese biscuit. So I think it was kind of cheating, but he won.
That's kind of a limited audience, too, a blue corn Gouda cheese.
Right. I would
probably love it.
Oh, yeah,
but,
I'm here for it.
That's hilarious. Of course we ended up talking about biscuits.
Always.
This is Nashville.
Every interview leads back to Gouda cheese.
That's amazing. Okay, so on to Roger Clyne, and then we're going to get a couple of more songs.
Sure.
But it might have been during the American Static interview or when we were just chit-chatting one day, but you told me that it had something to do with when you and Emily first met. I know you met at the CMJ conference in New York,
That's
right?
a great memory.
I can't believe I remember that, but I do remember that. But then somehow a Roger Clyne show plays in.
Yeah, he was playing the festival, and I don't think that festival happens. I don't think that publication or that chart is in existence.
College Music Journal, maybe?
College Music Journal.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had just graduated college. I moved up to New York to intern at Spin Magazine, and we were a sponsor of that music festival. And Emily, my wife, is a year younger, so she was in college in Arizona. I'd never met her before, and she was a program director of the college radio out there, and they'd flown her out to attend this, event. And so we met just at the conference component of that music festival. Spin had a couch. I had copies of the magazine. I was just supposed to hand them out. And Emily was there with her boyfriend at the time. He was really cool too. We, got to talking, and they told me they're from Arizona. So I was like, "Do you know Roger Clyne?" And the boyfriend was like, "Oh God." And Emily was like, I love Roger Clyne. And he was playing the next evening. So, we reconvened in line there, and it was just on. I'm really sorry about the ex-boyfriend. I'm sorry, Josh. You're never going to talk to me again. But, him, he's like, you married the random guy from the Roger Clyne concert? Anyway, he's long gone. Emily and I have been together since 2006.
That's amazing. Yay.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
And I get to go on the road with this guy at whose concert, we met. We were just on the road with him a couple months ago.
Yeah. So how did you end up meeting him and going on the road with him? And what happened? Did you tell him that story?
I did tell him. He was just like, oh, cool. I don't know what I wanted.
He wasn't as impressed as I am.
He absolutely wasn't. Maybe he gets that a lot.
Maybe.
Oh, you met at one of my shows. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. How did we do that? I talked my way into it.
Did you? I love
I think
that.
maybe they hit me up to write a bio or something. It was their old manager. And, like they're a band that in Arizona can just like pack a spot. And on the East Coast, they're a little bit more kind of, cult audience. And we, at the time especially, had a really strong East Coast audience. So I think I sold us as
okay.
we can help, pad the bill for you and, get those rooms a little bit fuller.
And so did you do some festival in Mexico with him or something like that?
Yeah, we've done that twice. Like, he owns
Fun.
a bar in Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we've just played. It's mostly East Coast and Midwest, but just amazing experiences.
That's
and
so
their
cool.
audience is
Yeah.
absolutely primed to like what we do. It's
Yeah.
just
a good
all in the
fit.
pop rock vibe.
Yeah. Wow, full circle moment.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, maybe we should hear a couple more songs. And then I just want to
do
hear...
it.
Well, I want to hear a little bit about how you grew up and the music you were inspired by. But go ahead and play one more, and then we'll finish with the third song. What are you going to play next from Kick, Move, Shake?
Kick, Move, Shake. You got it right. I was like, is that right?
Let's do one of the Peacemakers' favorites. Let's do Porcelain. They loved it off this last tour.
Yeah, did they love it? Yeah, the
okay.
audience liked it too.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, here we go.
This is the one song that we did live on the tour with them.
Okay.
But we're going to call it a scoop here for public radio music.
It hasn't been on the radio yet.
That's true, it hasn't. I count this off one again?
Go ahead.
2, 3, 4.
She's porcelain in plastic, having a friend synthesized in the attic. Pure adrenaline, but mathematic. Emergency alert system is static. I keep forgetting the shape my head's in. She's making it spin. I keep letting her enter my mind. Now I can't see the center for the things on the inside. Runs me ragged, trying to match the fast pace of the habit. Clapping on the 1 and 3, problematic. She got the beat, but she keeps it elastic. I keep forgetting the shape my head's in. She's making it spin. I keep letting her enter my mind. Now I can't find the edges for the things on the outside. keep forgetting the shape my head's in. She's making it spin. I keep letting her enter my mind. Now I can't find the edges for the things on the outside. In plastic, she's porcelain. In plastic, she's porcelain and plastic.
does it work out on the acoustic guitar?
That was awesome. I love it. So that's Porcelain.
Yeah,
we heard
Porcelain and Plastic.
Porcelain and Plastic, that song's called, and we heard Phosphorescent earlier.
Yeah.
Very cool. So it's cool to hear these songs like this because I've heard them in their produced form.
You have. You're one of the few. You
Yeah,
got the
thank
album.
Thank you. Now that I know where to find it on my phone.
Yeah. I'll email it to you.
Thank you. But it's going to be really cool for folks that are hearing this today or folks that are going to revisit it when we have video posted to hear these versions and then hear the recorded versions because it's quite different.
Yeah, there's some Juno synth, there's some programmed percussion, there's a lot of vocal harmonies.
I love that.
Just cascading on top of it. We really, we produced the hell out of it.
Yeah.
In a good way. I think it sounds very syncopated. It sounds very ear candy. I mean, in time for the Halloween season.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So
Candy for your ears.
did you have those ideas going into the studio or did Greg bring some of those out?
I think both. I think we went with him because I liked what he did with Aaron's albums, and he was the only producer who was just kind of willing to get far outside of the Americana realm that we had been operating within in the past. I think if I had gone to him and said we want to make an Americana album, he would have been like, "That's great, but I'm probably not the guy for you."
But pushing the boundaries, he was perfect for.
Yeah, and it was a lot of it was just him and I. Jay was off in Papa land with Casey, his oldest. So a lot of it was just like me and Greg just working, keyboard tones and just like spending a very long time on every single element.
And then bringing the band in.
Yeah, bringing the band in, kind of like overlaying some real drums. On top of some programmed drums. I mean, we really love Boys of Summer. I love Boys of Summer. I think that's one of the top, 20 songs of all time. And the percussion on that is programmed percussion with, overdubbed toms and some fills.
Yeah.
So a number of songs are kind of that vibe. And then we do have real drums for maybe half of it.
Okay, cool. So who is the Homestead these days besides Jay?
That's a good question. It's honestly, it's not always Jay. It's, the original kind of idea behind the Homestead, and I can maintain this definition because it applies now. A homestead, it's a collection of buildings that kind of create the. It's like the plural, creates the singular. So I knew that when I came to town, it was going to be hard to have a constant band.
Right,
We're not 22 anymore, and everybody just can't leave their jobs or their family and go sleep on floors. So it was going to always have to be a collective. And so that's why I called it Andrew Leahey and the plural idea.
Yeah, I like it.
But when we most recently played, we had Greg Herndon on keys and Dean Moore on bass and Dylan
he
Seavey
sings some cool background vocals with you
so
too.
amazing.
Great harmonies. With
And Greg
Dean.
is a great harmony singer, and Dylan's a great harmony singer. And Jay, over COVID on those live streams, he learned how to be a great harmony singer. You're not hearing it today, but he can do it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And I think that's a really powerful in any band. I like when everybody can harmonize, or when I think harmonies make the world go round.
Yeah. Well, we both love the Wild Feathers, and I love those harmonies, and they're going to be here at
he's a Beach
Riverside
Boys guy,
Revival.
too.
Oh well.
It's his number one band.
Forget about it. You can't match that.
No,
Good Vibrations. I'm sure you've listened to the separated tracks of Good
It
Vibrations
upsets me and thrills me.
all at the same time. Me too. It's
Isn't that life?
yeah, it's pretty brilliant. I mean, Beach Boys are huge for me too. But the Wild Feathers are going to be here with the McCreary sisters. Speaking of harmonies, right, on November 6th for our next Wired In. We are in our fall fundraising drive here at WMOT. My guests are Andrew Leahey and his incredible guitarist Jay. And I've loved chatting with you guys today. We're not done because we still have another song to go. But if you could, make a donation today. We greatly appreciate you. We're here celebrating the public radio stations that provide music. And that's what the 24/7 music at WMOT with very limited interruptions. And usually when we interrupt, it's to tell you about a cool show anyway. So not a big deal, right?
You guys should give. You should give.
You should give.
I mean,
WMOT.org.
we made a whole album about how much we love, like the radio. It's airwaves.
You
That's what
did
it's about.
airwaves, yes.
Yeah. I think there's a connectivity that happens when what you're hearing in your car could be exactly what another person is hearing in their car beside you or across town. Mm-hmm. And my brother, who lives in Brooklyn, he listens to a Nashville Public Radio on the internet.
Oh, that's so cool.
And comments on everything,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Did you hear this song?" So
That's great, and I love to hear that. And we've been talking about that during this fall fundraising drive this week, is the global reach of WMOT. We have listeners in Australia, in Ireland, all over the UK, really. Sweden, we've had people come in from all different aspects of our world where people listen to music. And I'm not sure if it's the same this time. I'll have to look into this, but we did have members, not just people that listen, but actually people that donate and support us in every state in the country. Isn't that
That's
crazy?
amazing. That's
I
great.
know. I love the internet sometimes.
That's
For this,
amazing.
being able to connect like that
That's
is really
great.
incredible. So speaking of connections, I mean, obviously I'm deeply connected to this roots music. It's the way I grew up. So much different music in my house. My parents were huge music fans, and from Frank Sinatra, Italian opera to, rockabilly and all the classics, Hank, Willie, Waylon, all of those. And rock and roll too. My parents loved the Beatles, all of that music. And that's how I grew up. The radio was always on. We were always playing vinyl albums. They were always dancing. And most of the artists that I talked to have a similar experience, but some don't. So it was really interesting to listen to Brenna McMillan this morning with Craig. She didn't grow up that way. She was the oddball out with the music and being from Texas and growing up and then in Kentucky. So she's a banjo player. It's super cool. So I'm curious about what it was like in your house. You mentioned your brother. I got to meet your brother at the benefit after your surgery.
He's the best.
That's so cool. It's so great to have that you guys have that bond. Were you music
Oh, yeah.
fans growing up? You sounds like you still are, sharing songs and stuff.
Yeah, he's amazing. Hey, Jason. He, your older brother. Unless your parents are really, really cool. My parents were cool, but he was cooler. He was just kind of, he was my musical parent. My mom was a classical singer, so I guess she instilled in me a love for good singers.
Okay.
And for oldies music, I love, the Drifters and the American Graffiti soundtrack, and the Stand By
one of
Me
the
soundtrack, the
best.
Good Morning Vietnam soundtrack, whole lot of soundtracks.
Yeah.
Played in the station wagon growing up. But Jason, my older brother, was the one who was like, listen to this hair metal album. It's amazing. And then it just kind of grew from there. And I continue to like that music too. Not even ironically. I love Def Leppard. I think it's
Same.
amazing.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, we'll make our Def Leppard album at some point.
We have a lot
It's
to
not
talk
Kick, Move,
about.
Shake.
Yeah.
And we need a lot, our budget, could stand to be a
Although
little
that
bigger to do
last
that.
Def Leppard album way back when, Hysteria, there was some synth in there. So I mean, that
Oh,
was
for sure.
Yeah. So you might be on that trajectory, but
I'm on
anyway,
it.
that's another conversation for another day.
Maybe another station, but
maybe.
Yeah, Def Leppard.
We love it all here at WMOT, which is another reason why we would love to have your support, so we can keep doing things like this that we're doing today and just staying on the radio. WMOT.org, click donate, or there's actually people in the studio today, 615-898-2800. So what were some of your favorite bands? I mean, I know we've already talked about Tom Petty.
Well, it's the bands that I kind of just became obsessed with at various parts of my life. I mean, I'm not too cool to admit it. And if, John Latham is listening, he'll be happy. I went through a big, Michael Bolton and Phil Collins and, Richard Marx, kind of adult contemporary, but I was 8.
I wasn't expecting that, but that's
just
awesome.
Getting into, and I still like a lot of that stuff, too.
Yeah.
But, the bands that I just was crazy about in my teens, I went through a big Eagles phase. I went through a big Kansas phase, which Jay and I will geek out on some Kansas in the van. And
Carry on, my wayward son.
Yeah. And then U2 was a really big one. And that was kind of right when I got to college and had access to, they're not good platforms, but LimeWire and Kazaa and all that, you could, get the discography of whatever in a second. So I began kind of getting these live YouTube bootlegs and just heard how good that was live.
Yeah.
And I went through a big U2 phase. But Petty hit me when I was living in Michigan. I think maybe just, I don't know what it was. Actually, I do know it was the live anthology.
Oh, okay. Yep.
It's just a great chronicle of an American rock and roll band.
Yeah, for sure.
And now it's everything. I mean, I have to limit my Tom Petty just because I don't want to burn out on that. And there are entire albums I don't really even know yet of his.
Oh,
I
good,
don't really
yeah.
know the Mudcrutch Volume 1. album. I need to save it for like a bad day. Like I feel like horrible right now, but there's a Mudcrutch album that I haven't listened to,
That's so cool.
I can hear a new Tom Petty song.
And I'll be saved.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. I actually met Jesse Scott for the very first time when Mudcrutch played at the Ryman, whenever that was.
I can't believe I missed that show.
It was pretty cool. And speaking of the Eagles, was it Bernie Ledden was playing with him, or maybe it was his brother that was playing with Mudcrutch?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. And he was at that. He was one of the originals, but he was at that show at the Ryman, so that was pretty
really
cool.
cool.
What about you, Jay? What are your favorites?
Oh, wow. Well, one of the ones that Andrew and I actually bonded over when we first met was Fountains of Wayne.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we really got into that.
Clever pop songs for sure.
I love it. Yeah.
CSN. I'm a huge jazz guy. I listen to a lot of hip hop. I love Wu-Tang Clan a lot.
Cool.
But CSN.
Do you like jazz guitar? Is it like Wes Montgomery kind of stuff?
George Benson.
George Benson.
George Benson is one of my heroes. I like
such
Jim
a sweet
Hall.
sound. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Chick Corea, Bill Evans for piano players.
Very
guys
cool.
like that. But my dad, growing up, and I'm going to sell him out here a little bit. I was 10 years old, and he had bought me. I was listening to Poison before this, which I still do. I love hair metal. I grew up with a Cinderella poster right next to my head in my bunk bed, and I woke up to just Tom Kiefer's face just staring at me every morning. It was absolutely glorious. My dad buys me headphones, and I believe it was in the Court of the Crimson King, the first King Crimson record.
Oh, wow.
And he said, put these headphones on, listen to this record. Back in college, we used to call this head music. And I didn't know what he was referring to, but it kind of hastens back to your conversation about Willie Nelson's tour bus, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Heady music, yes, for sure. Yes,
So
I know what he's talking about.
Right. Put those headphones on, and then from that day forward, it was Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and Flying Burrito Brothers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that like as like a rock and roll band or like a pop rock band or whatever in Nashville, we're supposed to list. You know, there's a bunch of like groups that you should list. Like, I listen to this, but we're like Poison and like Bryan
This is
Adams.
perfect. This is what I
and Fountains of
wanted.
Wayne.
I knew I was going to get real deal stuff from
That's
you,
what you
Andrew.
get from
so
us.
yeah, that's amazing. Andrew Leahey is my guest. Thank you, Andrew and Jay, for being here. And what are you going to leave us with? What's your final song today?
The One That Got Away Came Back, which is one of the ones that we did in that haunted mansion in Athens, Georgia.
Very cool.
Our friend named Libby Rose was the one who like hooked us up with that mansion. I should send this to her. Be like, this is what your haunted mansion hath wrought.
That's
Awesome. Andrew Leahey live on WMOT for Public Radio Music Day.
Is it sweet when you sink your teeth? Is it worth the taste? A real bad day if the sweetness leaves. Is it something you found can't be drowned out? Is there a rationale? Do you ring that bell just to hear the sound? But if the one that got away came back, if the one that left you breathless came back, would you want what you got or what you had? If the one that got away came back. The fault line, a house is bound to break. You can live on both sides till the ground beneath you shakes. Run with the bulls, let's be animals, and don't try to tell me you don't want me to top you off if your cup gets full. But if the one that got away came back, if the one that said they can't stay came back, would you let them in? Would you do that? If the one that got away came back, but if the one that got away came back, if the one that left you breathless came back, would you want what you got or what you had? If the one that got away came back. On the fault line, a house is bound to break. You can live on both sides till the ground beneath you shakes. Building on the fault line, a house is bound to break. You can live on both sides till the ground beneath you shakes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay, that was so cool. Thank you so much.
Super stripped down, but yeah,
I love that. I mean, like I said, I really love hearing a song, how it was created in its infancy, and then, you know, putting that all together with what's to come for everybody else. Lucky me, I got to hear it a little bit, but I think you're going to be really blown away when you hear Kick, Move, Shake. Andrew Leahey and Jay, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you
What a
so
great
much.
thing to do. This is so fun.
Yeah.
I love you, Jay. I appreciate that.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
I love you both, you guys. This was so much fun. It was just, this is what we love about WMOT. Just sit down, have some cool conversations, just chit chat, and play music.
It's what we love too.
Alrighty, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.